Enthusiastically Spiritual's mission is to inspire enthusiasm for the spiritual part of your journey. This is going to help you feel more inner freedom, access clear direction, and inner strength for what you've come to do. If this podcast does inspire this within you, can I count on a donation to support this podcast? If so, please go to the show notes and follow the link, support this show. Thank you so much and enjoy this episode.
Welcome back to another episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. I'm your host, Teresa. So this episode, I want to talk about love. Love is something that we're all here to strive for. Finding love in our relationships, finding love for what we do, finding love for ourselves. One way that I have found love for myself is understanding the spiritual part of my life. And that is what I am absolutely enthusiastic about, helping others find that inner love and go rock the heck out of it with what they're doing in their life. So in the last few months, Tom and I have been working with TNT Spirit Works with going to expos and fairs around Iowa and soon Nebraska. And at each of these fairs, I have come across one, if not two or more, absolutely sensitive people who are just, I would say, off the rails sensitive and don't know what to do with it. So this part of your life, the spiritual part of your life, is so important with understanding how to work with it and what you are experiencing every day. So I want to give you an example of an amazing soul who stopped by my booth this past weekend. It was a young man, really probably in his early 20s. And when he came, he wanted a reading. So at our booth, we do two types of reading. The first one is called the types of perceptions. And what this reading is about, it's really tapping into the four gifts of intuition, which is our gift of prophecy, our gift of vision, our gift of intuition, and our gift of feeling. So we have all four of these gifts within us, but one of them is the way that you communicate with your spiritual helpers, as well as out in the world with others. So this soul sat down across from me. And first I'll say, though, that if anyone comes to one of these fairs and walks through the door, that is a big healing in itself. So the energy of these events and the people there is magical and it's really high. So for someone to just walk through the door and get themselves to my booth or any other booth that's there is a huge kudos to their soul, kudos to their spiritual helpers and the universe for getting them there. So when this beautiful soul sat down across from me and started sharing with me about how sensitive he is, again, I was floored because, for myself, I work with Tom every day on cleansing and keeping our energy high and buffered. And so moving out into the world and really understanding how sensitive other people are, it's great because it gives me a bigger perspective of where people really are at. So as this soul began telling me story after story of his sensitivity, it was so profound. It was so profound that it was starting to bring up emotions in him because he doesn't know what to do with it. So he shared with me a story about the local area over in Clinton, which is, I guess, it's near the Mississippi River. And at one point recently, they had, I don't know how recently, honestly, but he mentioned that they had a flood. And when this flood happened, he was feeling it. And then I guess they let the dam go, or the waters broke, and everyone in that area was very affected by it. And he was affected because of their distraught, because of the anxiety, because of the fears. He felt it all. And what he did is he hid. He wasn't able to really understand what he was feeling, and made him more introverted at that moment, in that time. And this is something that's been very challenging for him, and also other souls that I have met along the way at these events and other places, is just that overwhelming, feeling of not knowing what to do. So as I went through with the reading and shared with him, which I do with everyone that sits across from me, the bigger spiritual picture that you're a soul in a physical body, you've got a team of spiritual helpers, you're here to learn and grow, you've got a thrust and a purpose, and you're free. I could feel him relax some. And then the next part of it is I checked out what his gift order is with those 4 different types of perceptions. And it turned out that his first gift was the gift of feeling. Well, this totally made sense because he is so empathic. He's so can feel everything. And that's part of our gift of feeling. Now, within these 4 gifts, we all have them. So it's not like he's missing the other ones, but that's his first perception. So when I shared with him some of the aspects of being what we call a feeler, or he really started to relate to it. And he started to understand, and I could see in his whole being a relaxation of knowing that, yeah, okay, so I'm okay. I'm this type, and I'm empathic, and I pick up energies and senses, and it really started to resonate with him. So I went through and we shared, back and forth on how this, affects him and how he can work with it. And then I really wanted to share him the cleansing technique. And at this point, he was game. He was like, okay, great. I'd like to learn that. And then the first thing I do with people to really access the cleansing technique is it's about really feeling your energy and who you are. Because once as a soul, you can really tune into what your energy feels like, then you can start discerning when other energies start moving in on you, or you might go somewhere and you feel other things, and you can start saying, well, that's not me. So that to me is key really for all of us, not just being, not just feelers, but for all of us sensitive souls who are energy, is starting to understand and feel your specific energy. So as this person started feeling his energy, he became overwhelmed. He became so emotional to the point that he didn't want to learn the rest of it. And so now at this point, honestly, it was an energy that moved in that didn't really want him to learn the rest of it. But the bottom line for this is that he got to the point where he can feel his energy. And what I shared with him, I feel is one of those things where, like, you never know when the penny's going to drop, and he may go, oh, I remember that I was, at this event when I worked with Teresa from TNT Spirit Works, that she shared this with me, and I needed to hear that. So anyway, I really wanted to share how important it is to understand your energy, how important it is to understand that there are people out in the world who are so sensitive. And I would say now more than ever, because of all that we've been through in the last couple of years, it's even increased in size. It's increased in magnitude. It's increased at a point where there are a lot of people who don't know what to do with all their feeling. And so understanding and recognizing that you're okay, that you've got a team of personal, helpers to help you, and to start learning your energy and how to work with it is so important. So, because I know that at some point, for all of us, we go through moments that are intense. We go through moments where energy outside of us affects us greatly. And I myself, both hands up, both hands up, have been there, done that. And I'm sure I still will, because as I'm going through my life, there'll be events that are going to be challenging for myself, or people I come and work with that might be challenging. So again, understanding your energy and really creating a buffer is really important. And so creating this buffer would help with, again, that discernment of energy. So I just invite all of you listeners right now just to take a moment and just wherever you're at, if just kind of relax and just take a deep breath and just feel where you're at energetically. And I invite you also just to bring your hands together. And what I like to do is I like to ask people to just take and kind of just rub your hands together and just feel the energy, just feel where you're at. And after you've felt really some warmth in your hands, just stop that movement and moving your hands away from each other and bringing them back together and bringing them apart and back together. And what this does, and well, first I'll ask you, just notice what you might notice. Do you notice that there might be some warmth? Some people feel a magnet, like a magnetizing feeling, a pulling. Some people also feel like it feels maybe like spaghetti, or like there's strands between your hands. whatever you're feeling, and if you're not feeling anything, that's okay too. That is the beginning of how to start feeling and recognizing your own energy. And the more you do this and practice this, the more you'll become accustomed and more in tune with what your energy feels like. And so whenever other outside energies come into contact with you, you can go, that's not me. What is that? And start discerning what's you and what's not you. And again, this is so important because we're very sensitive souls. We have all these beautiful, innate, natural psychic abilities. And being able to discern your energy is the first step in learning how to work with them. So now I want to talk a little bit about the different gifts of prophecy, vision, intuition, and feeling. So like the gentleman who came in and sat across from me at this last event we went to, his first gift was a gift of feeling. And what I want to share about these gifts is what you might experience that might make it too much or feel, like I mentioned earlier, like, sometimes it's off the rails kind of feeling. These are different aspects of these gifts. So with his gift, the gift of feeling, that is at being empathic, feeling so much from everything, so much when you walk into places, feeling so much energy from the collective, just really super sensitive to energy. That gift of intuition or that clear hearing, you might hear voices, and you might hear voices from your personal team of guidance. You might hear voices from other energies, from other dimensions. I'll just say that because people are all over the place with, different dimensions, different things. So that is something that you might hear that might be a lot to take in with your gift of intuition. With the gift of vision, that is your clear seeing. Oftentimes, this might be where you see colors around people, or maybe you see images around people. You also might honestly see people that have been deceased or other energy beings that maybe are around. I mean, that's your gift of vision. So that might be something that you might see with that gift. Then there's a gift of prophecy, which is that inner knowing. So through this gift, some of the things that might make it overwhelming is dreams that come true, or perhaps knowing when things happen. And I've heard people say that scares them, which I understand completely, because that is a little freaky, right? Like knowing when something's going to happen or when someone's going to get hurt, so that's your gift of prophecy, that knowing. So within these 4 gifts, finding a way to work with them is powerful, because again, knowledge is power. So that is what I like to share with people, is that whatever you're experiencing is normal. It's not abnormal, that we're all sensitive. And as I, again, go to these events and meet person after person and understand that, yes, we're all experiencing all these strange and bizarre and weird and sometimes mystical things, but it's just part of our innate natural psychic abilities. Now, back to that person, I'm sure that when he walked away, even though he had an emotional kind of reaction because he was feeling his energy and it was very stimulating for him, I truly believe in my soul that he received something he needed to get that day. He may have heard something that I said, or perhaps it was from someone else, because there were some other beautiful people sharing that day. And he might at some point, even again, like I said, he might be able to the coin might drop at some point where he needed to hear something that really resonated and helps him on his journey. And what I like to do with understanding and helping people by sharing this way is helping them start to understand and have a deeper inner love for who you are as a soul, for loving that spiritual part of you that is innate within all of us. No one's not spiritual. No one doesn't have a spiritual part. And so understanding how to work with it is really a beautiful way to deepen that inner love for yourself and then for others around you. So if you are also a sensitive soul, and if you would like to find out more about your gift and how to work with that gift, there'll be a link in the show notes to go to tntspiritworks.com and check out our types of perception consultation, where it's a short session that will just share with you your gift order and how to begin working with them today. And if you enjoyed this episode, thank you so much for listening. And please consider leaving a donation in the show notes that says support this show. I absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you so much for listening to another episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. I appreciate you so much. And just remember that wherever you're at with the spiritual part of your journey, remember remember that wherever you're at with the spiritual part of your journey and your sensitivity, that life is too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey.